What's up, guys, and welcome back. I'm sure some of you have seen the video I put out yesterday about this Nashville explosion. Um, so I just wanted to do a quick update with a little bit of more video footage, some new pictures, and a little bit of an update. So it seems they might have found a body. Um, they are not sure, um, you know, who it is. It says two law enforcement officials have told the Associated Press that authorities have found human remains in the vicinity of the explosion at Rock downtown Nashville early this morning. It's unclear how the remains are related to the victim or to the explosion, or whether they might belong to the person believed to be responsible or a victim. Now, from what I saw in another article, it sounds like there's not much left of this person because they said tissue, not remains in the other article. So I think it's probably like just barely anything. So they're probably going to have to do some testing to figure out who it might have been. Now, I did want to play this video for you. This is the warning that people got just before it went off. This was like about 20 seconds before the explosion.
All buildings in this area must be evacuated now. All buildings in this area must be evacuated now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now.
Yeah, so apparently that message was playing for like 15 minutes or so, and
Kia ora, good evening. More
apparently that message was playing for about 15 minutes or so before the explosion went off. Um, and the the FBI and law enforcement all believe that this was, you know, not meant to cause a bunch of casualties, but it was definitely intentional. So let's go over here. So here's some above footage from one of the helicopters that was flying over, I believe shortly after the explosion, if not this morning. So let's take a look at some of that footage. And the rest of it is some of the footage that you guys saw yesterday. Um, yeah, so I mean that overhead, that's a lot of damage. So I think they have actually a diagram down here. So if you look, so this is where the RV was parked out in front of the AT&T building, and this building is responsible for um, a lot of Nashville and some of the surrounding states, but also some stuff nationwide, but primarily Nashville and some of the other stuff. So it exploded here, and all of this entire block was pretty much decimated. And then the backside of this block, and I believe, I'm not entirely, this is just what was in those videos. I think some other stuff down here and down here was destroyed too, because I remember showing you guys a video yesterday of somebody who was standing at their window on like probably like the fifth or sixth floor, and it looked to be about 2 to 3 blocks away, and it looked like something had gone straight through the window. So, I mean, this was a very large blast. Now, thankfully, because of the warning, law enforcement went in, they evacuated all these buildings and everything, and only I believe 3 people were injured. Of course, because we still don't know whose remains were there, um, there is a possibility that at least one innocent person died, but it could also be the person that drove the truck. Because I haven't seen any suggestions or news stories or video that suggest that the person that brought the RV to the location ever left the RV, because there's no video of it. Now that doesn't mean they didn't. It could just be that they weren't covered by the camera. But I mean, that one camera angle that we got just before, where it was showing what was being said from the RV over that speaker system. I mean, I think you would have been able to see that. And then they also have another picture somewhere, I think right here, that you can see. This is the RV, and so there are cameras along this street. So I find it odd that, if anybody did leave this RV after parking it, that they wouldn't have shown that yet, you know, um, or at least told us that they do have footage of them leaving. So, the person that drove this could have just stayed inside the RV, because it looks like it showed up early in the morning, like 1:30 in the morning is when it showed up. So, it was there for what, 5 hours, up until I believe 6:30 or so, before it exploded. So who knows? Maybe they drove up, and for those 5 hours they were actually building the bomb. We don't know. Um, so let's go over here. So before we talk about this real quick, I just want to ask you guys to like and subscribe this video if you like the content that I produce. Hit that notification bell so you get updates to stories like this. And I very much appreciate the ones of you that do share my videos, because that really helps me out. It helps me, get some more viewers and possibly more subscribers. So I appreciate all of you. Okay, so why are there AT&T internet outages? An AT&T outage connected to the explosion continued late Friday to affect 911 operations and other services. So this is actually pretty serious. They blew up in front of the AT&T building, and now 911 operations are disrupted. That This could be connected somehow. Because remember how I said um, yesterday that them blowing up in front of the AT&T building may have been connected specifically to the AT&T building and the disruption that it would cause. Now, I don't know for sure, because I don't know the details of the case, but this could just be a coincidence. But who knows? With some of the other theories that were going around, like the fact that it could have been um, uh, just to test law enforcement to see what the reaction times were. Well, if you blow up in front of a a building that 911 uh, routes through, and no 911 calls can get out, then you could create some massive damage if no emergency responders are alerted, right? Uh, the outages were reported several hours after the explosion. AT&T indicated in its statement that the building was damaged and access to power was an issue. Quote, "Power is essential to restoring wireless and wireline connections, and we are working with law enforcement to get access to our equipment and make needed repairs. There are serious logistical challenges to working in a disaster area, and we will make measurable progress in the hours and days ahead." Yeah, I mean, the bomb went off literally right in front of the AT&T building. If we go back to this diagram right here, this is the AT&T building right here. This is the area of the blast. So this area and this area were the biggest and hardest hit. So if you were trying to disrupt massive amounts of communication, that would be kind of how you did it. So now that's not that nobody has said anything about these theories. These are all just theories that I'm seeing people comment. Like one, like I told you guys yesterday, there was the one about it being, to see how long law enforcement takes to respond and how they respond. There's one I came up with, which is maybe it was directed at the AT&T building to disrupt some type of communications for some reason. Um, I actually saw another theory that suggests that this was actually targeted to kill law enforcement specifically, because the they were they had the message that said to evacuate, right? And then you have law enforcement that would come in, um, and rope off the areas, and have a bomb squad go in and all that stuff, because you know uh, they're gonna evacuate all the civilians, right? But you don't know how large the bomb is, how large the blast radius would be. So most of the time when they rope off areas, it's quite a ways away. But the size of this one going off, it seemed like if you were anywhere within a block, you were gonna get hurt. So maybe it was supposed to draw in law enforcement before the blast, then blow up, right? Um, Kill as much law enforcement as possible. Uh, then, because it blew up in front of the AT&T building, disrupt communications, so that way both civilians and law enforcement can't call for additional resources to help the officers that were just injured. That could be a possibility too. And we don't know because they're still doing the investigation right now. I believe they have the entire area roped off and they're going through it, and there's a lot of damage. I mean, you guys saw that the flyover. There's buildings that are literally up on the top floors that are like blackened. So, you know, um, that was just the updates that I could find this morning. This all happened yesterday, and they're still working on stuff. So, um, yeah, that's really all the updates I have on this particular story right now. Um, I'll probably make another video if they release some more information about maybe who the person's remains were, or maybe if they find out what the motive was, perhaps. I'll come out with another video. But for right now, guys, that's it. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys either whenever I'm able to make a new video, or if I get back from vacation, I'll probably start making some more videos again. But to be fair, I've already made two while on vacation, so who knows? Alrighty, guys, I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys at my next.